It's a three-step process. It is a process. And you get freer and freer if you do this process. The first step, face yourself. Particularly whenever suffering arises in you. Whenever suffering arises, guilt, loneliness, depression, anger, anything that causes emotional contraction, you've got to turn within and face it, because it's showing you where you're not yet free. You've got to welcome it. You've got to stop running away from it. You've got to welcome it. Step number 2, look for the story behind it. There's always a story behind emotional contraction and suffering. Now, the good news is you don't actually really have to know what the story is. I mean, it helps to know. It's useful to know. That's why therapy is good. Therapy has its place because we learn to get in touch with our story around suffering. Step number 3, do the practice. Step number 1, welcome suffering. Number 2, look for the story. Number 3, do the practice. And the practice is stepping back with your awareness. So you get really present. Whenever you're suffering, you notice a story, you get really present, you step back with your awareness, and then the second part of the practice is you can affirm to yourself, if you like, if you want to, the one story that is always true. I'm not my story. I am the awareness which creates the stories. And really expand into the feeling of being aware, being very present now. And if you do this, I promise you, it will lead you to awakening, eventually. You have to do it many, many times, thousands of times, until you notice your suffering is less, you're more present, you're more here now, you are freer, lighter, happier, more in the flow. One day you'll come to see that even the self that you've built your identity around is only a concept, an idea. You can't actually find it. And when you see that even this I, this me that I've taken myself to be all this, my whole life is not even real, when you see that, then you're free. Then you see that everything between your ears is unreal, just passing illusion. It's powerful, and if you hold on to a thought, you can manifest in reality. But what is real, what is timeless, is only consciousness, awareness, what we are. And you still have a sense of self. You still have an I, a me, but now your identity no longer comes from your I or me and all the stories that shore it up, the ego. Now your identity comes from being itself, being alive, being aware, being here now. That's what your identity is. You may have an identity in the world that, for convenience, but who you really are, you now know as nobody. Just like Charlie said. It's a good joke. I heard it before, but you tell it really well. Now, when I started on the spiritual journey, I read Ram Dass, and he said that in order to become enlightened, to become free, you had to be nobody. I didn't like hearing that. I wanted to be somebody in life. I wanted to be somebody. It took me a long time to realize that I am nobody. Now, so how does thought... So the more awake you are, the more you live in the now. You're just right here, right now. This is it. This is the only reality that exists. Right here, right now. You honor the past, the stories of the past, your lineage, and you keep an eye on the future, your goals and dreams and plans for the future, possible scenarios. You consider those things, but you always live here now. And then, as you get free of the story, your heart opens more. And all those qualities of the heart, like gratitude and joy and thankfulness, and love and intimacy and caring, they all just flow into your life.